of what you get out of it, and is that really resulting in the character that we want?
So developers have a 200,000 square foot lot. You're looking for a model of that.
Well, I'm looking for a model that perhaps is more logical than 200,000 square feet in the end.
They want to see what that
because personally, I just don't feel that 200,000 feet is logical in an R20 zone.
No, I think it goes to the point of scale that you're talking about as well. That, yeah.
If we were looking at all of the housing units in Jamestown that have 4 or more dwelling units in them, could we count them on 2 hands? Or could we have to take off our socks?
No, okay.
It's not very many. On there against that was probably Morgan Batty,
I don't know how many
Bayview condos. And
well,
then when you get down to Pemberton Avenue, those 2 operations there, SK and Jamestown Housing. And then the other one would be Rosa Manor
Holland Avenue also.
and Holland Avenue near the water tower. There might be 1 or 2 others, but I can't think of them. And if we could identify those lots along with that other report, that would probably be helpful.
I guess one of the questions I would have, if we're going to get into this, and it sounds like if you do those things, we're into the discussion of changing the 200 feet now, 200,000 square feet now, rather than getting opinions from the neighborhoods about multifamily housing. So my position still is we should be waiting, we should be getting that input, one way or the other, whether we wait for a comprehensive plan or we do a special kind of publicity. I do not think we should be changing or putting multifamily housing into R20 without a much wider information dissemination. I think it's going to be pretty impactful to people's to their neighborhoods. And one of the things I was looking at is multifamily housing as cluster housing. And what does that do to the character of the neighborhood where everything's, you know, one house, one lot? And when we've talked about affordable housing, okay, it's a smaller lot, but it's still one house, one lot. And you get into multifamily, and you change that. And do you have cluster housing that is turning inward on itself and has a little cul-de-sac to itself? Does it disrupt the neighborhood? Or is there, I mean, what are we talking about here for multifamily housing? Or is it apartment building? Is it basically an apartment building in the middle of single-family homes? I think that bears a little bit more discussion with the communities. I still feel that way, but I'd also like to know what are the different options that this is going to look like if we're going to have this conversation. Maybe some illustrations of what clusters, because it recommends cluster housing, and is cluster housing in R20 really the Jamestown character? We were very careful. The thing that really bugs me about this is we were very careful, and the consultants were very careful to come up with really well thought out ways of doing affordable housing with substandard lots. And now, without the consultants, without a plan for what multifamily housing would look like in R20, we're just going to perhaps legislate it and let it turn out to be whatever it is. And if we're going to do that, I'd almost rather go back to the consultant and explore what it could look like without distorting the neighborhood into something that nobody wants. Because I don't think people, if you identified areas in Jamestown, and people didn't have a whole lot of things they didn't like, but one of the things they didn't like was that apartment building over opposite the hotel. They didn't like that. It was an eyesore. It was not something that felt good to people. And some of the things the consultants said, it was too far back from the road, it was this, it was that. There are different ways of mitigating that. But it was not a favorite place. And I would be very cautious about opening up the floodgates to a lot more of that. And I know that that's not anybody's intent here. Nobody's really looking to do that, so I'm not accusing you of trying to, turn this into a Tinkertown.
Well, I'd like to address that. I lived in that apartment. And I think that it's very popular place. It's very popular with the people who live there. It's very popular with people who are allowed to live in Jamestown because that complex is there. And if we are going to get affordable housing in Jamestown, we're going to have to make it happen. It's not going to happen because people say, I don't like that next to me. That's not going to make it happen. So either the town is going to be serious about providing affordable housing, or they're not going to be serious. We're going to pay lip service to it.
I think my point was we spent a lot of time and we're very careful about this one way of doing affordable housing. I'd like to see us put a lot more thought and care into multifamily housing where it can go in any number of directions.
Well, that's why I've asked for a report from Lisa identifying where the affordable housing is, where the multifamily dwelling structures are, where the lots that might come under that purview are actually located in this village district.
Okay. We'll continue. And you're clear on what Duncan was referring to in terms of a model and what, you come back with a big piece of paper that shows you all the different ways you can multifamily on a lot that's smaller than 200,000 square feet. Whether it's a converted 4,000 square foot home to something that's going on at Clinton Corners, the project we just approved.
I'm going to just ask one more thing. Do we have any money left for a consultant? And I'd like to ask for money for a consultant to go forward with this.
We're just looking at information, and I think it's a bit premature, but
I'd like that to be on the table.
Okay, we'll continue that. Remember that for next time, Nancy, and we'll take a consensus on if we most of us agree. Okay, motion to adjourn. So, Karen, second. All in favor? Aye.